Now, a lot of you may think it's obvious that Asta is going to become the Wizard King because he's the main character of the series, but that's not necessarily the truth based just on the fact that he's the main character. There's also a lot of supporting evidence in the series, and that's more or less what I want to be focused on in this video. I know a lot of people come to the conclusion that he will automatically become the Wizard King one day due to the fact that he's the main character. But however, in my opinion, I believe that Tabata actually does a good job of subverting the audience's expectations a lot. So I don't think you should say that he's gonna be the Wizard King based on just the fact that he's the main character. That would pretty much take away all of his accomplishments, and that's not something that I wish to do. The first time that Asta subverted my expectations was right after he finished fighting Veto and he was cursed where he would not be able to use his arms anymore, and you would assume that he would give up being born in a world without magic and always being underestimated by everyone else. A lot of people in Asta's position facing all this criticism and ridicule would have every right to give up and turn back and give up on their dreams. I mean, Asta was born into a world where everyone else has magic. He's the only person in the entire world that we know of course, that is unable to use magic. And his whole life he was always looked down upon. Not only was he a peasant, but he was also a peasant with no magic. So this forced him to develop really strong habits to survive in this world, because the world was completely against him. In the beginning, there was no one who believed in him, not even the people who raised him, being father and sister Lily. They did not even believe in him, because whenever he went to take the Magic Knights exam, they made the assumption that he was going to fail. But Asta knew in his heart that he was not going to fail, and he was not going to let this push him back. I believe the reason that Asta is able to subvert my expectations is because of the way he was raised. Growing up, no one believed in him, and he always said that he was going to make his dream happen. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, after his fight with Veto and he was cursed, it was nothing new to him. It was new to us because we didn't spend enough time in the world with Asta yet. We didn't spend enough time in the story with Asta to understand fully just what he had to go through. So with that being said, he faced such criticism growing up his entire life that he had to adapt to the world. And because of the pressure that he was put under at such a young age, it groomed him to be an incredibly resilient fighter. So what I mean by this is, let's take something like a diamond, and it might seem a bit cliche that I'm comparing him to a diamond, but diamonds are very valuable, but it takes a lot of pressure for diamonds to form. Likewise, I'm comparing it to Asta because he was put under a lot of pressure, but that is why he is the way he is. That is why he's able to subvert expectations on nearly a daily basis. When everyone else was able to use mana at a young age, he didn't let that stop him from doing thousands of sit-ups and thousands of push-ups. He knew what he wanted to do, and he was going to do it. And what he wants right now, what his goal is, to become the Wizard King. Now I can continue to go on about how Asta continuously subverts our expectations, but what I actually want to point out that I think is more important is the fact that when other people doubt Asta and he seemingly always comes out on top whenever he's doubted, there's one person who never doubts Asta, and that's Yuno. Many of you might have picked up on this the first time around, but I like to reread and rewatch manga and anime because it gives you a better understanding, and sometimes you miss things the first time around. So something that I noticed and it really stuck out to me is the fact that whenever Yuno and Asta were fighting Licht, Yuno never for 1 second doubted that Asta was going to get back up and help. You can see the look on Raya's face whenever Asta rises from out of the water. Raya did not even believe that Asta would be able to move. But Yuno, on the other hand, had no doubt in his mind. In fact, Yuno believed in Asta so much that he pretty much continued to fight as though he knew that Asta was going to prevail. We know this because at one point in the fight, Yuno says, this is about the part where Asta should be about to surpass his limits. Now, if Yuno didn't grow up with Asta and was able to know him so well, there's no reason for Yuno to ever believe that Asta would be able to get up after facing that kind of damage from Licht. Licht is one of the most powerful mages in all of the Clover Kingdom's history. But because of the fact that Yuno knows Asta, Yuno was there whenever Asta subverted our expectations for the first time in his battle versus Repji. Now, this is the point whenever Yuno didn't believe in Asta. You can tell that Yuno didn't believe in Asta because he tells Asta to run away. That's basically saying he didn't believe in Asta. And even at this point, Asta subverted his own expectations because we can see that he gave up and he was about to just call it quits and throw in the towel. But he rose up to the occasion and he was able to beat Repji. And he vowed to himself that that was the last time that he was ever going to give up. And from that point on, I think that he was very serious. I don't think that he is ever going to give up ever again. At first, I thought he was just bluffing, but after seeing how he didn't give up even after he was unable to use both of his arms, and he's a sword user, so he needs his arms to fight. If he didn't give up then, I don't think he's ever going to go back on his word to himself. That's an oath and a vow to himself that he... Some other things that I should probably touch on too is the fact that Asta is incredibly strong. I believe right now he's the second strongest mage in terms of physical capabilities. The only person who's higher in terms of physical capabilities than him is Yami. And that is saying something because this man is ripped. Like, he really is very physically fit. So that means he trained his body and not just his mana, obviously, because he doesn't have any mana. So he doesn't even have any talents to rely on. He just uses a lot of hard work. And through hard work, I believe that he is going to make his dreams come true of becoming the Wizard King. Since birth, everyone always doubted him and told him what he could and could not do. They didn't even think that he was going to be able to get a job because he didn't even have any mana. They didn't believe him when he said he was going to join the Magic Knights, but then he did. He keeps on repeatedly doing what everyone tells him that he cannot do. And so many people have told him that he cannot become the Wizard King that I think he's just going to go out and do it because he's not going to let anybody tell him what he can and can't do. And he already made the promise to himself in the beginning that he was going to do it. And ever since then, we've seen character development in his character where he never gave up after the time with Repji. He never gave up. Even whenever we expected him to give up, he never did. I would even go as far as to say the goal of becoming the Wizard King for Asta is the only thing that he lives for, because it seems like he gets stronger at such a fast rate that it is unbelievable. No one else, even with the help of mana, can become that fast that quickly without strenuous hard work. It's at the point where he's arguably stronger than Yuno, and Yuno is blessed from birth with a lot of mana, and he also is blessed with a 4-leaf grimoire. And not to mention, he was also just naturally talented. The fact that Asta is able to keep up with him at a consistent pace and also at times pass him up in terms of capabilities makes me have no doubt in my mind that he will become the next Wizard King. He always finds a way to surpass his limits, and he learned that from his captain, Captain Yami. So what I mean by this is, if you would take a look at a lot of his fights, let's take for instance the fight with Dante. The fact that Asta was able to tap into a new form in order to protect his friends, in order not to lose to evil, shows a lot. That means that no matter what, even when the odds are astronomically placed against Asta, he will find a way, always.